Welcome back to the Chasing Common Ground podcast. My name is Chris, and I am your host. I am working on getting more regular episodes coming out. There's going to be quite a few solo episodes. I just want to focus on a few topics as I start to layer in some guests. And I have a few topics in mind for this one so that we're not wasting too much time. I want to check and see. Obviously, you're not able to answer me live, but I'm curious to know who listens to this has seen the 8 Mile movie, or if you're watching this, if you've seen the 8 Mile movie. I know I've probably referenced it 6 or 7 times along the lifetime of this podcast, but I kind of wanted to go over a few things that I think are quite empowering when you are on a fitness journey, when you're working on yourself, when you are learning more about yourself, and when you're showing or learning how to show up in the world. Because as the world changes, there's filters to our pictures. There's AI for the way we're presenting ourselves. There's, if anybody is familiar with dating apps, there are marketed products where your pictures are altered for the application, all your pictures. So there's a lot of insecurity that's woven into society. There's a lot of times when the biggest gift that I give to people that I work with is confidence. Separate from the body composition changes that may occur, it's the confidence that makes the biggest impact in their quality of life. And then obviously if their blood pressure was more manageable, if they were able to move around pain-free, all those things are additional, but it's so often confidence. And so as I outline this, I'm going to explain the scene to kind of set the tone for the example I'm going to give you. And I'm going to give you some examples based on my own life, things that I do that contribute to how I can show up in different social situations, how I can comfortably be myself without worrying about any of my characteristics, and how I can empower other people to be themselves too. So to kind of recap the outline, I've got some notes prepared here, so if I'm glancing away from the camera, just referencing my notes. Now, the 8 Mile movie, there is a scene that is a pivotal moment in the film where during the final rap battle between Rabbit, who is played by Eminem and otherwise known as Marshall Mathers, between Rabbit and his opponent, Papa Doc. So Rabbit knows that his opponent is going to use personal attacks against him, so he decides to preemptively acknowledge all of his own flaws and hardships in his rap. And by doing so, he takes away any verbal ammunition that Papa Doc might have used against him. So in this scene, Rabbit lists everything negative that could be said about him, his background, his struggles, his mistakes, and in doing so, he not only disarms his opponent, but also stands strong in his own truth. This self-awareness and vulnerability turn into a form of power, making it impossible for Papa Doc to attack him effectively. And in the end, Papa Doc is left speechless, unable to respond, which solidifies Rabbit's victory. Obviously, this is a movie. There are scenarios where this might not turn out so dramatically smooth, but I can reflect on many instances when I've used similar tools. One of them being sometimes my social media content ends up in the complete wrong algorithm, or just it ends up in front of the eyes of people who know nothing about me. So I'm going to share a few stories that have kind of helped me to start to build up my own sense of identity, my own sense of confidence, my own sense of empowerment. When I've got a few stories actually. So first one, I'm going to reflect on a wedding that I was part of. Now at this wedding, leading up to the preparation, this beautiful wedding, great opportunity, great occasion. But one of the groomsmen was talking to all the bridesmaids, and the bridesmaids were like, well, who are the single guys here? Well, I happen to be one of 3 single guys. But a friend of mine, who was one of the groomsmen, pointed out that I didn't count because I was bald. So in this particular occasion, I happened to be the MC for the wedding. And so I called out that attribute of my own as a means to disempower anybody from using that as a dig against me again. So if you're in front of a whole group of people and you call out your own baldness, well, nobody else can really say anything. Second example being, I had posted something, I think it was on the benefits of creatine, and in the particular frame, well, you can see video footage here. As you can see, I'm a hairy dude. You got the chest hair there, you got the beard hair there, but you got no hair on the head. And the observation the guy made was basically, man has more hair on his chest than on his head. And I was like, oh, no shit. Like, I had to shave this off. Obviously, there's a lot of things that go into that look. Like, a person reaches a crossroads where they're like, I'm just going to be the bald dude with the beard. Some people have a lot of hair on their head. I had progressively less and less. But if you look at my dad and my mom's dad, they're both bald, so it kind of makes sense. All that aside, I have often led with that physical description where some people might feel like it's kind of like a dig at myself. It's kind of like, okay, we got that out of the way. What else you got? Like, I'm 5'8". Okay, I'm 5'8". Now what are you going to say? That I'm short? Because I already announced it. So in doing that, it allows me to move forward with the tangible steps that I can take, like showing up to the gym, like showing up for my family, like showing up for all of my commitments, obligations, like showing up towards my goals and not worrying about stuff. I'm not worried about going to Turkey to get a hair transplant. No disrespect to anybody who would like to do that or has done that, because it's situational, case by case. But when I'm working with people in their fitness, the last thing I need to do is make people feel insecure. To be quite blunt, I have crossed paths with people who cause more insecurity in their work with others than confidence. And that is probably a huge influence as to why I am the way I am. As a preface, all of these people that I'm listing as examples no longer work as a coach in the industry. It kind of works itself out. So there's nobody that I need to warn anybody away from working with, because they are not working as a coach. They have moved into different industries because they did not find success in giving people confidence because of the strategies that they've used. That said, I have known many coaches with eating disorders that cause other people to have eating disorders because of the way that they bring out insecurities and amplify them, rather than allowing people to own their own physical attributes. There are times when somebody may relate to me because I do not go around with like a six-pack year round. I don't have this chiseled physique. That said, there's always context and nuance to everything. I am a very active person. I can use my body to lift heavy things. I can be very involved. I can compete in the sports that I'm interested in, whether that be going and doing a 10K run at some points in my career to competing in jiu-jitsu now. I've been at the top of a leaderboard in a cycle bar spin class. I have lifted many times my body weight with a trap bar. So fitness will inevitably look different on everybody. And probably the best example is looking at different Olympic athletes, where it's like their caliber of athleticism was merit-based. They had to outperform other people in order to represent their country. And at which point they did, then they competed against people from all over the world. And if there was no athleticism to their body, they would not be there. And so how they look has no correlation to their athleticism in this instance. The context and the nuance is, let's say somebody is using other people's examples of a diversity to allow them to not do scary and uncomfortable things. So maybe someone is like, well, not all athletes at the Olympics look like people on specific fitness magazines or something like that. And they're like, and for that reason, I will not get 2,000 steps because I can just be the way I am. That is almost taking it too far, where they're missing out on a lot of health benefits, on a lot of their own like performance benefits, mental, physical. We all know that getting a certain baseline amount of activity will not only benefit your physical health, but also your mental health. So that's where you draw the line, where you can equip people to position themselves where they are aware of everything that they could possibly be self-conscious of based on other people's judgments on them. They put it out all on the table, and now that's disempowered any critics that could come into their space. From there, they're able to start making steps to move forward. They're able to start being regular with their training. They're able to start being regular with their nutrition because they're no longer nearly as concerned with what other people think of them. For me, when I'm able to call out anything that anybody could ever use as an attack on me, I disempower them. Could it be that I have spent a lot of my life solo? So be it. I've addressed it. What do you have now? You have nothing. I've accomplished a lot in this time, and I have proven that I am a very capable, independent, strong, awesome human being. And I do that the same way for any of my clients, regardless of their situation, whether they are a grandmother, a grandfather, a cousin, an uncle, an aunt, a kid, no matter what. I'd rather pull out their empowerment than amplify their insecurity as a means to make them need me more. People work with me because they like working with me, point blank, the end. Next point here is, I think, super important. And this is going to be kind of a great segue because what we're going to talk about is how important it is to try something difficult or scary every day. Much like for Rabbit or Marshall Mathers, much like how he would feel very intimidated and scared going up on the stage and sharing his insecurities or weaknesses or shortcomings or failures, etc., is also scary to try new things and step out of your comfort zone. I've compiled a little bit of a list of examples to kind of get you thinking. I think one of the best examples of something to get out of your comfort zone, do something scary, is try a new workout. Now, for some people, this might be like waking up to do a solo workout, and for other people, it might be going to do a group workout. But what I would recommend is give yourself a bit of a nudge to try an early morning workout. There was a period of time that I exclusively did 6 a.m. spin classes. I attended them for at least a year, taught them for another year, and then attended them for another year. There's a great correlation between that routine and the book, The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma, where it helps you to kind of get into the mindset that you're starting your day before the rest of the people do. Where I found that was helpful is it reframed for me what was possible when I started my day that much earlier. It helped reframe what my potential was, and it just gave me more clarity for what was possible with life. As the pandemic rolled in, I found that I was a little bit more bougie, and I like sleeping in just a little bit more, but life is doing life things, and I'm finding myself waking up at 5 a.m. pretty regularly once again because I'm applying that same step out of the comfort zone thing and putting that into my career and even just my daily routine. By starting my day earlier, it not only allows me to block some of my calls earlier in the day to get them out of the way, but it also frees up midday to get a little bit more lengthy walks into the day. Side note, this past week, I have just been trying to do as many walkable walks as I can. So essentially taking every essential commute in my week and seeing if I can walk it. So far, I've walked to 2 different grocery stores, each one taking home at least 20 to 40 pounds of groceries. And I have also walked to the gym where I do some of my own workouts and to the gym where I train my clients. The longest walk that I've done was the round trip to the gym where I train my clients. Then I took a scenic route through a park to come back, and it was a total of about 11 to 12 kilometers. So these are not small walks, but I do this because it puts me out of my comfort zone. It has me testing myself, and it has me framing situations. And the challenge here is to find ways to do it daily. Now, here's another example, stepping out of our comfort zone. A lot of the times, the people that I work with, their constraint, the thing that holds them back with their nutrition is just they're not preparing. They're not preparing for the week ahead. They're not making time to go to the grocery store. They're not making time to maybe pre-cook some meat and pre-cut some vegetables just so that they can put dishes together. Maybe prep up some romaine lettuce or spinach or something and put that with some chicken. It doesn't need to be too extravagant. The biggest thing is realizing like what time you have available, although it may be limited, and then doing something with that time that's different than what you'd typically do. Some people would typically use that time to maybe scroll through social media, watch their favorite TV show, and maybe perhaps one of the days of the week, that could be an opportunity where they shift things around. They cook up a bunch of chicken, they put it in a container, they got it ready in the fridge for those busy days in the next 3 days where they need a quick bite to eat. Grab some chicken, put it in a bowl, add some lettuce, add some veggies, put on some like vinaigrette dressing, and you're good to go. You got a salad. It took you 5 minutes because you prepped that chicken earlier in the week. The other thing is just as far as personal development, getting yourself in rooms of new people. This is something that was super uncomfortable for me earlier on, where if I had to go to a networking event or a conference or a meeting where there was people that I didn't know, I'd be super anxious and I just avoid it. But at this point, I've done it so many times that I kind of have this routine where I just kind of like enter the room, meet one person at a time, make some new connections. I don't need to meet everybody. I don't need to be the center of attention, but I get in there and I make at least one connection, and it makes it a lot less intimidating. And I think by continuing to create new connections in life, it is extremely beneficial. Now, the fourth one, is around the topic of longevity, because I'm hoping that people are understanding the theme of this podcast is not only fitness, not only mindset or nutrition. It's so many things, but a lot of it is just drawing out that quality of life where you're not only able to enjoy your life, but you're able to enjoy your life sustainably for a long period of time to get more experiences out of life. So as far as longevity goes, I would say let's go with daily movement. So daily movement in a significant manner. If you've ever played sports, maybe you've played like a high school sport, I would encourage you to either find a place to do that sport, a rec league, or just for me, I played 2 years of basketball in junior high. I really enjoyed it. I had some really influential basketball teachers and coaches, primarily my teacher, Mr. Axelson, who I highlighted in a past episode with his wife. Mr. Axelson passed away many years ago now, but he had an impact on me. So I go and I'll shoot hoops and I enjoy it. Whether I'm good at it or not, it's a great way to move for an hour. I can connect with an old friend and have them join me. So for you, if you used to play volleyball, join a social volleyball team. If you used to run, start blocking out some time to go for a run. If you used to go for disc golf, that basically it's frisbee with golf rules, start doing that. If you have never done that, try doing that. Find fun ways to move daily for more than just 10 minutes. Push it to an hour. Break a sweat. Whether you're 50, 60, 70, 20, 15, doesn't matter. If you're already doing that, I would look at optimizing your sleep schedule, which for some people can be earth-shattering is the best way to describe it. Because if you have a routine where at the end of the day, you're typically going to be scrolling on your phone or you're watching a TV show, that might mean you have to switch that, put your device somewhere else, and read 2 chapters of a book that makes you sleepy. And maybe you have a bit more of a restful sleep, and the rest of your following days go a bit better. You're a bit sharper cognitively, you are more grounded emotionally. Your physical recovery will definitely be better if you've had tough workouts and you're getting really good sleep. Your physical recovery will improve if you've had tough workouts and you're getting terrible sleep. You're likely to definitely notice that accumulating throughout the week, whether it comes out with you being more sore, or maybe you're not getting the results that you wanted with your fitness journey. Sleep, as they say, is one of those underrated supplements that not enough people are talking about, and it's free because you just shut your eyes and you fall asleep. So if finding a meditation practice or just staying away from screens for the last couple hours before bed was helpful for you, that could be something that you could integrate. That would be doing something difficult, doing something potentially scary because you wouldn't know what was happening on your favorite TV show, or maybe you wouldn't finish up your day just randomly messaging people and checking out Instagram or Facebook or wherever you spend your time. And as I say that, I'm equally guilty as anybody else. Everybody is working on these things, regardless of where they are at in their journey. Everybody slips. Some of my friends who are extremely consistent with their strength training, they fall short with their sleep. Or if they're extremely consistent with their sleep, maybe they fall short in their nutrition. There's always something, and everybody's a work in progress. Nobody's perfect. There's no sense comparing yourself to somebody else. This is a reoccurring theme that seems to happen on an ongoing basis, but I will say it here. Always just own who you are, what you bring to the table, your qualities. If there's qualities that you have been criticized for having, just own it, put it out there, and move on. Nobody can make fun of you for things that you brought up. And to be quite honest, life is far too short to obsess over things that make us different. Everybody's going to be different. And if we were all identical, if we were all the exact same as this like archetype that people have in their head of like what the perfect person looks like, there would be so many other things in life that didn't make sense. As far as evolution, as far as environment, as far as different personalities, different lifestyles, none of these things would make sense if we were all identical, because we would start to feel and look like robots. All that aside, this was a quick, fast-paced episode. If you enjoyed this one, please rate the show, whether it be on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Go subscribe on YouTube. I am making a push to get as many subscribers on YouTube as possible, and I'd like to thank you with all my heart for tuning in. I'm going to be trying to be more and more consistent with these themed solo episodes, and I will bring back some guests. Looking to bring on some guests that I have some close connections to, perhaps some guests that I might be crossing paths with in real life, because that's a lot more fun to go on walks with people and meet up with people. And if you have any comments or feedback, feel free to reach out to me at Christian Liddle on Instagram, or you can head to invigoratetraining.com to learn more about me or to work with me. And that is that. We will catch you on the next one.